Good evening. Happy Tuesday. No, Thursday. Golly. I have an awesome guest for y'all tonight. I have talked to her behind the scenes, but I'm really excited. Hey, Mama Bird. Hey, y'all. I see you dialing in, my little Aussie friend. Hello. That was fast.
Hi.
You're like my fastest one to ever join.
I had a live maybe a couple months ago where it took me forever to like figure out how to get on it. So I feel like we got it going good.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? I feel like I can barely hear you. I turned up my volume.
Yeah. I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Can y'all hear her? Okay. So welcome to Let's Go Live. I'm Gigi Meyer, and I have with me contemporary fiction author Jess Smith. Jess, welcome.
Hi.
Okay, me and you have talked behind the scenes. We've also talked on that podcast. So we're gonna get into the Indie Scribble Circle. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
So don't want to miss out on that, but we'll kind of have it after the author journey you're on. And early congratulations to you on your upcoming release. Dream for a Second. It's coming out May 7th.
Yep, that's right.
Yay! Okay, so I know we only have an hour, and it'll be super fast because you have your other responsibilities in life. Yeah. Okay, so I want to start at the very top. What is why contemporary fiction? What made you choose that genre?
Sure. That's what I read is contemporary fiction. So I wanted to write what I read. So that was pretty easy that way.
Well, and they also say it makes you a really better writer because that way you know what the genre standards and expectations are.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into because you've been reading it. So
I think that's true. And sometimes when we write outside our genre, you can kind of tell because you're like, that's not how it would normally go.
Yeah. I can't imagine writing like fantasy or mystery or, oh my gosh, horror. Like I wouldn't know what to do.
I know, mad respect. Mystery, I can't keep a secret. I can't like have it unfold, like chronologically or like in an organized manner where like I know it and no one figures it out and there's like this huge whodunit reveal at the end. Yeah, I can't do that.
No, when I start outlining, like I want to get to the good stuff like immediately. And when I started drafting my second book, Dream for a Second, my critique partner was like, Jess, you got to slow down. Like, I know you want to get there and like, he's like, but you got to build up to it. I'm like, but I just want to write it now. I want the readers to read it immediately. So for mystery, I would not be able to hold a secret. I'd be like, nope, here it is.
Okay, I think I need you as my critique partner because I can slow burn it forever and people are like, come on already. And I'm like, no, let's keep slow burning it.
I mean, and I eventually, my stories do tend to be slow burn, but it takes a lot of like self-control in writing to not get to that point.
Okay, this is your second book, so let's start at the very beginning. Time for Once is your first debut novel, so tell us, one, where the inspiration for that book came from, and then how long it took you to write it.
So a lot of that book is founded in the foundation basically of like my formative years. So the book spans from ages 20 to 30. Okay. And a lot of it's almost a little bit semi-autobiographical. I feel like a lot of first books for authors kind of tend to lean in that direction.
Okay, mine was a cartel kidnap romance, so
maybe unless you have a secret that you haven't told
yet. I don't. My parents are Midwesterners, so we're pretty boring.
Yeah, I'm in the Midwest. I'm just outside of Chicago, so I totally get
Exactly. Yeah, my parents are from Minnesota. Oh, don't you know?
My dad is originally from Minnesota, and he likes to call it Minnesota. So he'd be like, Minnesota. I'm like, okay, Dad.
I
Anyway,
digress.
so yes. So Time for Once came about. I don't know. Well, the prologue actually was a writing assignment that I had done in 2015. So when COVID hit, I started kind of like wanting to write more seriously. And I stumbled upon that old piece of writing, and I was like, oh, maybe I can develop this into something.
Was it a class that you were taking, or a college, or?
It was an online workshop through the Gotham Writers Workshop in New York.
Okay.
And it was fiction writing, and it was all online, and we would do writing assignments and critique each other's works in progress. So it was really nice. It was really inspiring. It didn't catch on when I took it.
Is it still around though? Can people still do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they have online courses.
What is it
all
called
the time
again for those that are listening?
It's called the Gotham Writers Workshop. It's based in New York, but they have a bunch of online courses. Yeah.
That's super neat. Okay, so I keep interrupting. I will stop that.
Okay.
But you took that old piece, that old draft, dusted it off, and then what?
And then I wrote it. I expanded it, and it fell out of me within months. Like, I think I wrote the first draft from June to November of 2020. So it was a very short, for me, that's a very short drafting period.
Oh yeah.
And it just came out of me.
5 months. How many words was that first draft roughly?
The first draft was lean. I really had to beef it up. So I think the first draft was probably about 54,000 words. And then I spent a lot of time revising it because I never outlined it. I just wrote it.
And I like it.
Oh, there were so many plot holes.
Yeah.
But I was able to beef it up to about 90,000 words at the end there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So 10,000 words a month, which is very quick. And then you almost doubled it. How long did it take you to double it?
That took a really long time. That took about a year to revise it. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the reason why it took a year was what? Because you had to figure out where your holes were in pacing and consistency and plotting.
Yeah. Thankfully I had a critique partner that was like, okay, we need to go and actually make an outline, which we did. And then we went chapter by chapter to figure out. Time for Once jumps in time a lot. So it spans 10 years. So a lot of the chapters they can jump months, they can jump years, they can jump weeks. It just depends. So he helped me identify those plot holes, and then worked with me on making it make sense. But it took a long time. And for me, revising it's difficult to revise. It's easier for me to draft, but when you have to go back and add things in and really start picking apart what you wrote, that's the difficult stuff. That's where the real work happens, is in the revisions, 100%. And it's hard.
Oh, I was going to say, Jess, mad respect, because when you write a book and you're telling, the first draft is always telling yourself the story, but then when you have to go back and outline it, and you said chapter by chapter, you have to not only outline it, but then you have to figure out what doesn't work. Then you add in stuff that does work. Then you have to change everything before it or after it, so it seems seamless. That is daunting.
It was so daunting.
No wonder it took you.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was seriously out of love. If I didn't love that story so much, and the healing that I had done throughout the story and everything, I would have given up. And I also had the support of my critique partner. If he wasn't there being like, come on, Jess, you can do this, or just would listen to me complain about how hard it was, I don't think I would have been able to finish it. So,
well, no, that is a great lesson in tenacity and perseverance, because there are a ton of things as a writer that I feel like being an author is death by 1,000 steps. And we all hit one step and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then you overcome it. You procrastinate and you finally do it. and then you have another 3-4 tasks that you do, and then you had another one of those, oh, I don't want to do it. And so for you to put yourself through that grueling process on book one, I mean, you have to be proud of yourself because you actually did the work, you finished it, it's now out in the world.
Yeah. There's a sense of pride, but there's also like a lot of exhaustion that came with it.
Burnout.
Burnout for 100%. Yeah. But it's true. Like as I enter in book 3, like I'm just starting to draft book 3, I'm like, there's thoughts that are like, are you really going to do this again? Like, you're really going to write another, you're going to put yourself through this again? And it's like, I am.
Well, let me ask you this. You wrote it. I mean, I feel like every book is such a lesson and we learn more and more about ourselves. But you did the hard work on the very first book.
Yeah.
So the second book, what lessons did you learn from the first that you could apply to the second? And then what are you learning from the second to the third?
Yeah. I outlined the second. Like, I did not start drafting until I had what I consider a very robust outline. Now, I know people that, especially in the fantasy world, they like do Post-its and they get really detailed in their outline. Yep. I went as far as I could until I was like, if I don't start writing, I'm going to lose some of that creativity in the outline, and I want to, you know, push that creativity into the story. So I definitely, yeah. And because of that, the revisions for book 2 went much quicker. And even writing it was just a little bit more smoother. I also think, like, from book to book, you know this, you grow as a writer every time you go out and like start writing. So I do think Time for Once and Dream for a Second, you'll see a big difference in my writing style. I've been told, like, early reviewers are already saying this is a little different than Time for Once, but not in like a bad way, just in like maybe in a growth way, or in the way that the second book was meant to be written. I don't know.
Okay, so I have 2 questions. One, what do you use for outline? Is it a spreadsheet? Is it Google Docs? Is it, you know, a wall of stickies? And then also, how did your writing change? You know, for those that are listening or aspiring authors, they always want to know, like, how do we grow? What was it? Like less dialogue tags? Was it, you know, more mechanics, better description, more narrative? So
I use Google Docs.
Okay.
That's my go-to. When I'm working with my critique partner, it's just easy for us to go in there and leave comments. Yeah, and share. So I outline through Google Docs, and I would say that the biggest difference in Dream for a Second is probably the pacing of the story itself. There's less, I like to call it accidental poetry that like pops into my work.
Okay, give us an example.
Yeah. I have a lot of lines that just come up that can disrupt the flow of a normal, if you're reading fiction, like there's certain lines that can kind of interrupt the flow a little bit, and they're poetic and they're beautiful, and they're lines that are like, I think, powerful and will stick with you. But I had a lot of those in Time for Once, and my editor even was like, for the readers, like, to make it a little bit easier for the reader, you might want to tone down some of these lines. And I was like, I didn't even know I was doing it, but I appreciate that. Like that's how you learn.
Yes.
Right. So for Dream for a Second, there's less of that. There's more dialogue. And in terms of like descriptions and stuff like that, I feel like that's a weak point for me. So I did spend more time being aware of like my descriptions and making sure that it painted a good picture for the reader.
Okay, because I understand what you're saying. Sometimes I'm like, aren't my readers living in my head?
Right.
And
I'm not, no, that'd be so much easier though.
Shocker, they're not there with you. Oh, hey girl, what? Like Alice Fennery has one-liners that are just like, whoa, I love that. I know, I feel like some authors just come up with these amazing one-liners. Yes. I'm not it. But I would keep yours in. Oh my gosh, I'd have a hard time cutting one-liners because they are the best.
Yeah. There are, what is it called? Kill your darlings. There are a lot of darlings that were killed in Time for Once.
It was a bloody mess. It was a massacre.
Yeah, I don't write horror. I don't write any of that. But man, cutting those lines, it might as well have been the writer's version of horror.
I know you're like, as an author, I'm so sad about it.
No, it is sad.
Okay, so, and I know what you're talking about because I am a very wordy, verbose writer. I have tried to scale this back. There's some writers that have these like short, clippy little sentences. And I'm like, oh, you know, I want to be one of those, but I just, girl, I cannot. I have to like unpack it all. So I respect the fact that you're able to do that, you know, that you have a critique partner. Do you also have like beta readers or alpha readers on your team?
For Time for One, I did use them. Dream for a Second, I had my main critique partner, and then I had two other critique partners I got linked up with through the Women's Writers Association. And their feedback, I was just like, I don't need beta readers. I had enough eyes on it where I was like, I'm ready to go, take it to my editor. So yeah, I didn't do betas for Dream for a Second.
Oh, but having three critique partners is good. Sometimes you get so much feedback, you're like, what do I want to do?
Yeah, you got it's a delicate balance. Receiving in general can be overwhelming. Like when I first started getting feedback on Time for Once, I wanted to give up. I was like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. But I think it's important to find someone that understands your work, that believes in your work.
Yes.
Has a really good way of pointing out your strengths while also lifting up your weaknesses. And the critique partners that I've been linked up with have been really good in that regard. And they've been excited about, you know, the work that I was putting out. And I was excited about reading their work and everything. So I think that helps a lot. But I mean, there's a lot of misses too. You can get hooked up with a partner that can really be a dud, and that's just the kind of, you know, personalities clash or whatever. But I've been fortunate with my critique partners.
I think that happens when you invite anyone on your team, whether it be editors, graphic designers. I really feel that fit is important.
Yeah,
because you're right, they have to believe in your work in order to be able to champion it, you know, with you.
Yep, absolutely.
So on the third, okay, so how long did it take you then to write the second book? You said you outlined as much as you could before you're like killing your creativity. How long did it take you on the second?
I don't know. Like it took about a year probably. I started drafting it in between releasing Time for Once. So as I was waiting for like the book cover design to be finished, or while I was waiting for my editor to be done with my edits, I started drafting it. So it was like pieces of time in Dream for a Second. It was probably in total about a year, I would say.
And so that makes sense because you're in the process of, you know, editing one, getting ready to go to market, and then you're also writing behind the scenes. And I know you have a family and a life.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is not your full-time gig.
No, it's not.
Okay, and so it took about a year.
Yeah.
And is that writing, rewrites, pacing, editing, all that process?
All that, yeah. All of that process.
See, and that's fast though.
It is. I mean, I guess it is. And I also, like, now that I'm going into book 3, I feel like that's going to be I've already said it, it's going to be my trouble child. It's going to be the one that's going to take me the longest.
Well, how do you already know that?
Oh my God. Okay. So I started outlining it. So for my books, what happens, which I wasn't planning on happening, but what has been happening is characters will pop up in in Dream for a Second. Palmer popped up and I was like, he was just a secondary character. And the story ended and he was like, you need to write about me now. And I was like, oh, I should write about you. So now he's in Dream for a Second. And then a character popped up in Dream for a Second that was like, you need to write about me now. And I tried to. outlined her and I was like, I really want to make a story for you, but it just wasn't the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
So I outlined her. I actually drafted about 5 chapters and I had to shelf it. And I just recently re-outlined book 3 with a different character that shows up in both of my books. And it's just so much, it's flowing a lot better. But that's the trouble child. It's a trouble. It's trouble.
Okay, so you switched gears. So you picked one side character, started, was like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Totally went back to the beginning and picked another one and did it again.
Yep.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, will that 5 chapter, I don't know if that's your trouble child, will she see the light of day later?
She could possibly be book 4.
Oh.
She could be. It just depends how long I want to be in this universe. Yeah. And I don't know if I'll be like done with it by the end of this end of book 3. I'm not sure. She's a great character though. Like as I was going through the final read through of Dream for a Second, like she's a wonderful character. She captures my attention. I'm obviously biased, but like she's a really good character. I want her to have her story. It's just,
girl, you can brag about your characters. Shoot, if you wrote them, go for it.
I feel like we have to. We spend so much time with them. Like, you know, I'm proud of them.
I know you're like, they're my friends.
But seriously. I mean, when I was in the like height of revisions, I don't know, last month, everything was reminding me of my story. And I would just like apologize to people. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be talking about my story so much, but I'm just like, literally, I'm like, I'm here in the real world, but I'm also over there in my world. Yeah. In my fiction world.
They are people we create, and that means they are real. See, yep, she knows exactly, Samantha.
She just finished Time for One. So.
Oh, so we have a fan. I love it. Okay, so Dream for a Second is coming out May 7th, which is around the corner.
Yes.
How far are you into book 3 after, switching total pivot?
Book 3 I'm in chapter 2 currently, and I have a very rough outline. So, but it's like I told you, it's starting to flow, starting to fit. Things are kind of naturally clicking into place. That like familiar excitement that I had for the first book and the second book, it's like I'm feeling it. So I'm getting there.
Okay, I am a diehard pantser. I have one series that I was like, I am going to force myself to outline. Mm-hmm. And I did. I have a wonderful developmental editor who's my ride or die, and she may or may not be on here. But I admire you outliners. I don't know how you do it. I feel like for me, the story is definitely telling it to me first. So how do you do that for those people that are not pantsers, or that want to write a book? Where do they start? Like, what advice would you give a newbie on how to outline, how to not do what you did? Because to me, that's the hardest. Yeah. See, I wish I could outline. I'm gonna go with what they want.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely listen to my characters when they're like, I listen to them as I'm outlining, and I try to find like that balance between making sure I don't repeat what happened in Time for Once. So like honoring the creativity that's popping up as I'm outlining. I don't think it's a one size fits all for everyone, obviously, because there's the heavy plot and the people that don't outline at all. And, there's the in-between people. I would say what helps me feel inspired to outline, because I think that's the biggest problem, at least for me, is it's not super inspiring to sit in an outline and be like, here's the character, here's act 1, here's act 2.
Fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Well, there's a certain magic that happens when you're writing. And if anyone ever listening to this has written anything, whether it be, college or high school or anything at all, at some point you lose yourself in the story. Time goes by, you're immersed, and it's beautiful. Yeah. And so I don't don't know how that magic translates into like a pre-planning. I would love to learn it, but
Yeah.
I'm always curious.
Yeah. What helps me, and I've always been like this, I find a lot of inspiration through quotes and music. So the number one thing that I do when I start outlining is I find quotes that resonate with the themes that I have in mind for my story, and I put those into my outline, like in the very beginning. So when I start feeling a little bored or uninspired, I'll go back to those quotes that I've already put in, and maybe I'll even go and look for more, or maybe I'll go look for a song that a character I feel like may connect with in some way.
Yes.
So I guess I just pull from different creativity that isn't necessarily mine, but that can help fuel that outlining process. So that's what I do.
I love that. To me, music can set a mood. I know there's mood readers, but some of us writers are also mood writers, right? I know many that write fantasy tends to have more fight scenes than like romance or contemporary fiction. And so they'll put on like some playlist. I have others that put on, when you have to write like a smegsy scene, they'll put on very sexual, like, and sensual music. And so it makes sense then that you're using that to help with the outlining process, because outlining to me is very mechanical by nature. And maybe that's because I'm not an outliner.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense to have that creative immersion while you're doing the mechanical side.
Yeah.
Samantha says, I let my characters take the story. I argue with them. Do you argue with your characters? Do you argue?
Oh, I'm trying to think if I argued with anyone in Dream for a second.
Samantha, yes, I do it all the time.
Do you argue with your characters? Really?
Shoot.
I don't think I do.
Okay, so I'll give you like a little nugget. My latest release, Isla, it came out April 1st, and it's my darkest and my spiciest romance in my dark romance series. And so their very first time, I was like, okay. And so he leads her into the bedroom, obviously. And then he's like, but I want to show you my world. I was like, what is this? I mean, we're already in the bedroom. And then it leads into this like private library. I'm like, where are we going with this? Like, stay, everybody on script, come on. And, because it was a very artsy, creative book, they did not do that first scene in the bedroom. And it ended up being this like unfolding. So anyway, it went totally off script. And I was like, everybody back to the bedroom. No, it did not happen in the bedroom. It never happened in the bedroom.
I need to read this.
Girl, I'll send it to you.
Seriously. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty wild. There are some scenes in there that I have no idea where they came from. And I was like, just, like a court reporter, just, dictating, okay, let's go. Let's see where this, what's going on.
I love when the characters like take the helm and you're just like, I don't know where these words came from, but they're coming through my fingers out onto the, I love when that happens. That's fun. And then you go back and reread it and you're like, did I write it? What?
Did I have an out-of-body experience for the entire time that I wrote this book?
Sometimes it feels like that though, especially like when you go back and revise and you're just like, holy crap, how can I like repeat all of those like how can I repeat that person? What was going on that day? How many cups of coffee did I have?
I know. I sent it to my dev editor and I was like, girl, I don't even know. I literally put that, I don't even know.
I don't even know.
And I usually do like half and half. So I'll send like half to her to see if I'm on the right track or, just get feedback. And so it was just like, literally, girl, I don't even know, send. Anyway.
That's awesome.
That's when you have to have the right team members on your.
They just understand. That helps a lot.
I know. And she was like, I don't even know what to say about this. This is turning out brilliant. I was like, well, don't credit me. Credit Travis, who would not have, this sex in the bedroom. So anyway. Okay, so you're 2 chapters in on the third book. Do you think it's going to come in around the same like word count or same sizing? And would it take you also as long? Because now it's your third, you're kind of, you've already cut your teeth on a couple.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how long this one takes, especially now that I feel like the outline that I have is the one that I'm going to commit to, and the right. Dream for a Second naturally ended at around the same word count as Time for Once eventually got to. And I feel like with like chapter word counts, I have a natural ending. It's usually between like 1800 to 2500.
Oh, per chapter?
Yeah, per chapter. So, and it's not like I'm making sure I'm making those word counts. It's just that's how those chapters are naturally ending. So hopefully the book 3 will be the same. I hope.
Okay, I want to highlight that because that if you're a new author, that is something it's hard to understand. You pick up a lot of the traditionally published, and there seems to be no rules. And I know a lot of authors are like, how long should each chapter be? And you're saying 18 to 2500. I know some people that go up to 4000. And to me, it's like wherever the natural break in the story is. And if you write multiple points of view or dual points of view, it's trying to think in your head, or in your case, plan it out on your Google Docs, whose perspective you want this to come from. Like, whose viewpoint do you want this piece of the story told?
Yeah. My stories it's dual point of view. So every different point. I mean, it's usually the female character and the male character, but yeah, I flip heads all the time. And I did, when I first started writing, I did look up for my genre, what a chapter, like how many words are typically in those chapters. So there was there was an awareness of what I was aiming for. And then it just naturally started to be the word count that it needed to be. I don't like to spend too much time thinking about word counts. I feel like it just takes away like your creativity, it puts pressure on you that you don't really need that type of pressure. Like writing a story is difficult enough. And this kind of goes into like the NaNoWriMo stuff that happens in November, and like everybody like trying to hit those word counts. And I'm just like, I like that it helps inspire people to write, but I also am just like, what does it take away too? So that's a whole tangent. It's a whole
No, but I mean, I like your perspective because some people are craving that external accountability as a motivator to find the time, carve it out, put the kids to bed, tell the hubby like, hey, see you later. I'm going to spend this sacred time for me in advancing my writing goals. And then other people, it paralyzes them.
Yeah.
It does lock them up because they feel as though they're a failure if they don't get, the 67 words in every month in November. And November's already a crazy busy month with the holiday and stuff, at least if you're in the States.
Yeah. Who does NaNoWriMo in November? Like, that's rude. Right? Why not like the month of February when everybody's like, it's not usually nice weather.
It's dead of winter. Everyone's stuck inside.
What else are you going to do but write? And then it's not 31 days or whatever. It's 28 days. Like, it should be February.
Yeah, I totally understand. I do participate in Nano. I do. I like it, but I also have a daily word count to hold myself accountable. And I don't always achieve it. Some days it's just, as a writer, some days it just flows out of you and it's beautiful. And, you're like, where did all this come from? And then other days it is torture and twisted. And you're just like, where are the words?
Yeah. Yeah. And those are the days that you're just like, oh God.
Okay, so where did the inspiration for this entire series come from? Like, what is keeping you writing it?
I don't know. It was an accident. Like, I knew that I wanted to write Time for Once, and then it just keeps, I just keep outlining, like the story ideas just keep coming. So it's a universe that just keeps drawing me in, I guess.
That's beautiful though, right? It's a story of this universe that you've created. You love spending time with it. You have fans and readers that love it too. I mean, that is a beautiful compliment as a new author, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like that's, you know, the A on your paper,
Yeah.
like a gold star. So do you use like Easter eggs in your writing to try, or like an invisible thread to tie it all together?
I, no, I wouldn't say no.
I didn't mean to throw you off. You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So, okay, you had mentioned that you have these critique partners. You had found your one, you have your one ride or die who's been with you at the beginning. You picked up two more. Are they going to be your same ones for your third book, or do you leverage social media to help find your team?
Well, the ride or die, my OG critique partner is on board, whether he likes it or not. He's stuck with me. The other two critique partners that I picked up for book 2, I may ask, depending on if I feel like I need extra eyes on it after I finish writing it. We'll see. And I'll probably utilize the Women's Writers Fiction Association again. That's where I found my other two. So we'll see. It just really depends how the drafting goes and how I feel about it and how many eyes I want on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the plan for the future? I know you don't know necessarily how many books in this series you have in you, but do you want to do a different series or a different genre or subgenre?
Yeah. I'll probably stick to this. I like contemporary fiction with a little bit of romance. I like exploring what I call emotional fiction. They're human stories. I feel like that's where my heart is with writing. So we'll just see. Maybe this universe will be what it is until I no longer write. I don't know. But yeah, I'll probably stick with the same genre. I write in third person point of view. So I did play around with the idea of maybe doing like novellas in first person for some of the characters that maybe fans would want to spend some more time with, like Jolie in the first book, for example.
Yes.
And I think that would challenge me to expand and like be out of my comfort zone if I wrote in first person. But I don't know if I don't know. It's just one of those like, should I not? Do I have the creativity? There's only so much, you can do with your creativity until you're just like, okay, I need a break.
Okay, Jess, mad respect, because third person is hella hard to write in.
I think first person is so hard. I don't know how you guys write in first person. I cannot write in first person. I don't know what it is.
Okay, I have to write in first because I'm going to take you on the journey and you're going to be hurt and you're going to be in danger, or you're going to make sad choices, or the guy's going to screw you over and I'm like, then what are you going to do? So I can do that because I want you to be hurt. Yeah. But I cannot write in third person. And every time I come across an author, it's just like, whoa, tell me your secrets.
I don't know. I don't have secrets. I just can't write in first person. My secret is I really cannot write in first person.
Isn't that so funny? Because as an author or as an indie, I feel like a lot of it is learning about yourself, learning about your writing style, your tone, your voice, your pacing. Like we talked about, I'm wordy. Other people are short. Some people like long chapters, short chapters. I mean, there's such an array that you have to figure out when you're on your author journey, like, who am I as an author?
Yeah, it's true. And I feel like you learn a lot about yourself as you write, and you heal a lot of yourself through, at least I have. So I think it's hard to tease out like who you are as an author and what your stories are. I feel like so interconnected in a very beautiful way.
Oh, for sure. People are like, do you ever write about your enemies? I was like, girl, all the time. All the time. And then other people who read my books, they recognize themselves, like my friends, or they'll be like, passing situation that happened to all of us. And like, did you put me in your book? I'm like, why, yes, I did.
I get that a lot too.
You
I
better feel it as a compliment.
right? I have a friend that was like, so I'm trying to figure out the sister relationship, and if some of these things happened with you and your sisters, and I'm like, well, I mean, authors have to pull from their experiences.
Uh-huh. Although my dark series has a lot of content warnings, like runaways and prostitution and drugs and, you know, all sorts of stuff, cartel stuff. So that not so much.
That's a Google research that you've been doing?
Oh my gosh, if the FBI were to ever like confiscate my stuff, they'd be like, she's a serial killer. And I'm like, no, I'm just a romance author. A dark romance.
I love that you have, like, 'cause my stories don't go into that type of stuff. You know, they're human stories, they're very relatable and everything like that. My search history is like a synonym for a word that, like, I'm overusing this word. What's a synonym that I can use? So.
I know. It's so funny because people that know me, they're like, you are about as like grandma, old fashioned. I was like, yeah, I'm from the Midwest. Like, there's nothing exciting going on.
It's true.
Let me ask you, what is the hardest part of being an indie author, and what's the easiest?
Oh my gosh, the hardest part is marketing. I mean, we talked about that on our Indie Scribble Circle episode. It's so hard to market. And I'm not a marketer, like, I'm a writer, and I think that's common for all. We have to wear all of the hats. We have to do basically everything, unless, like, for example, you have developed a really great team that has helped you with everything. But man, marketing, it's just, that's difficult. The easiest part, I think, is leaning into the hats that you do need to wear. And, you know, I'm like developing my book covers. I love doing that. And I hired a book designer, but I feel like I love having the creative power over my book covers. I love making those calls. I love having my vision for the cover, like, come to life.
Oh, yeah.
I think the book cover has been the easiest. But marketing, oh my gosh, no, just no.
And I know marketing is probably the most challenging. It's the most common response that I hear because, you know, you try and emulate, right? Everybody says, oh, just follow the blueprint.
Yeah.
But what works for one author totally doesn't work for the next. And they can be doing the exact same steps at the exact same time, and it still doesn't work.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And there's so many things that you can miss, and you don't want to, like, dump a bunch of money into something that's not going to result in, like, a good return in your investment. So yeah, I think eventually once authors have, like, a robust catalog of books, then marketing might get a little bit easier, because you can market your backlogged books and you have your author voice is really strong, and readers are familiar with your work. But it's hard when you have one or two books. It's hard to market those. The readers don't know who you are. And to be an indie author in a big publishing traditional world, like, you're just a little tiny voice trying to figure it out. And we've talked about this, like, on Amazon, they favor the traditionally published authors. And but you just got to keep doing it. I mean, if we didn't love our stories, we wouldn't be writing them, and we wouldn't be trying to get it into readers' hands. So we just got to keep doing it.
No, I totally agree. I mean, that's why I started this interview series, because I have interviewed a few that are traditionally published, but they're not, you know, big names. But really, my heart is with indies, because we don't have the exposure, we don't have the reach, we don't have the marketing budget or dollars.
Yeah. And
you're right, Amazon does prioritize trad published authors ahead of it. You know, there's literally options such as they can run videos for the new releases where we're not allowed to on Amazon to promote it. So I mean, there's just a zillion different things that they have the advantage for. And I'm like, well, no, you know, I'm going to try and level the playing field by doing Let's Go Lives every Thursday with, you know, anyone that's in the publishing realm. So it's not just authors. I try to get bookstagrammers, bloggers, editors, cover designers, but, you know, to provide a channel and a voice for those to speak out. Similar to what you guys do on the Indie Scribble Circle.
Yeah, yep.
Look at that segue.
you did so good.
Okay, girl, that was not scripted. See, that's the magic. That's the pants are magic. So please tell everyone that's listening, what is Indie Scribe Circle? Scribble Circles. Oh gosh, girl.
Scribble Circle. So I'm a co-host with Christina Carmela, and it's a monthly series in her podcast called Greetings from Nelsonville, and it's a roundtable of authors. So we bring on about usually 2 to 3 authors and discuss a topic for about an hour. So you were on, and you're going to be on in May. That's when your episode drops, and our topic was the hardest part of self-publishing. So, but other topics we've talked about, we started it in January. Other topics we've talked about have been author accessibility, author branding. We did a female empowerment episode for March, and it's like you said, and kind of like what you're doing here with the lives, it's to give voice to the indies and to kind of normalize what we're doing here, and to be like, even though we're not trad published, our work is just as good. It's it may be a little bit different because we don't have a publishing company telling us to write to market or to write in a way that they know that will sell books, but make our work any less valuable or any less good. So yes, just giving voice to the indie author community, and I love it. We're actually we've already talked about going into next year, so it's been really fun.
You have to go into next year. One, thank you for having me. It was so much fun. And you guys, Greetings from Nelsonville is such a cute, like, you've got to follow her because her graphics are cute. Her little town her fictional town she's created is so cozy.
Yeah. Look at there. Woohoo, Indie Scribble. Yep.
I know she's in here too. So how do people, where do they find it? Where are you guys? Where is it published? How do people sign up? How do they listen?
It's on Spotify. So if you subscribe to Greetings from Nelsonville, it drops every month. And Christina also interviews just one-on-one indie authors in her normal podcast. So, and Christina, by the way, who's here, she's crazy. Like, she's such
Carmela_Writes is her handle.
Yeah. So she's the head of the Indieverse Awards, which is like a huge thing that's going on right now in the indie author community. So she's a big voice for the indie community, and I love her.
I know. She is infectious. Like, her creativity is, when I talk to her, I get so inspired. I'm like, I'm going to rewatch my own interview with you and take notes. Because she drops a zillion gems. She has a million things going on. Ditto, girl. And then she also, and I'm like, this is not her full-time gig. And I'm like, how do you find the energy? Like, what are you eating or doing?
No, I'm like, how do you have magic hours in your pocket that you pull out that we don't have? Like, how do you cram it all in one day?
Do you have a team of 18 people? No? Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, so people wanted to be on it, if authors wanted to be on it, how do they reach out to you guys?
If they reach out to either me or Christina, we're going to start putting together the schedule for next year. So they can drop a DM to either me or Christina. Indie Scribble, or do we have a handle for Indie Scribble Circle? I don't know if we do. Yeah, but either me or Christina on Instagram.
So you started this in January, and you already have 2024 booked?
We are in the talks. We are in the talks of booking it. So probably within the next, because Christina is a planner, as am I, probably in the next month we'll start figuring out who we want to bring on for next year.
Not for next year, this year. You guys already have it?
It's 2024. Yeah, we have all of numbers. Me and numbers. This is why I'm a writer, okay? I can't not number. I hear numbers, my brain's like, we're not going to make any sense.
No, numbers.
Right? So yes, 2024 is completely booked. And we had that booked in December, I think, of 2023. We had everything figured out. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's amazing. Kudos to you guys, because sometimes we don't even know what we're doing next week. And you guys are like, not us, we got it. You have the whole year booked in advance.
Yeah.
For something you just launched, and it's going wonderful.
Yeah. It's been really exciting to have like the response and the guests come on, and everyone's been like super into chatting about the topics and getting along with one another. It just speaks to how great this community is, the indie author community, how just supportive and uplifting we are of each other. And I think that's why it's been going so well and why it's been so easy. Is everyone that's been on has just been so excited to be on and to be talking.
Gosh, I love the experience. I wanted to interview Christian here, but he's not on Insta. He's on TikTok. I was like, oh.
Get on Instagram. He has so much good stuff. I was so inspired by what he was saying. Anyone listening right now, you got to listen to the May. Mm-hmm. You and Christian just dropped so much good stuff. It was so, me and Christina at the end of it, like when you guys laughed and we usually like chat afterwards, we were like, that was so good. I would have just sat and listened the whole time.
Okay. No, you know what it is? It's because we've tried and failed about, I don't know, 100 times.
There you go.
And so you're like, let me save you some heartbreak, money, pain, time, and tell you what not to do.
It is the wisdom of magic.
Exactly. So tell me about this publishing company.
Oh, Wellium. Yeah, I opened up my own imprint. I as I was working on like my author goal, I really wanted to have just a separation of like funds to begin with, but I really wanted to take it seriously. And to take it seriously, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna not just be a writer as like a hobby writer. Like I want to make this my full-time gig one day. And committing to opening up a imprint for me just meant I was committed to being indie. I was committed to doing everything I can to like make it successful. And then I got to get like a little imprint on my spine. I mean, that's wonderful. I love that.
That is great. I mean, it is inspiring. So are you going to take on other authors? Is it going to just be for you for right now in your own books? What's the goal for that? That's huge.
It's huge. I would love to one day, and this is like 10-year goal, and maybe even 15. I would love to publish anyone that comes up to me when they hear that I'm an author. And this happens a lot. I'm sure this happens to you too. But anyone that comes up to me and goes, I have always wanted to write a book. I want to be like, I will publish you. I will help you write your book, find what you need, find your book cover designer, find your editor, find an interior designer, whatever you need, and I will publish you under Wellium. I would love to do that because everyone has a book in them. I really think everyone has a book in them that they want to write. It's just having access and having the right people supporting you, and obviously like having the right mindset to do it. But I would love to publish people. I would.
Well, because it's daunting. I feel like I said, being an author is death by 1,000 steps. And so at any step, you can turn away and be like, this is too hard. I think I put something on my story about, it's vulgar, but at every step, you have to be like, fuck it, I'll figure it out. And I feel like that is being an indie author, because you're going to come up against some rub, some tension, something you want to procrastinate. And, if you have your own imprint and you offer it to other people, you've already done the hard work. And so you're going to hold their hand and walk them through the process.
Yeah, and I'd love to do that. But it's true. You do have to fuck it and figure it out. And I think one of my little lines that I had as I was pushing out Time for Once was, you just got to do it scared. Like you have, if it's not going to go away. You just have to do it scared. And every little step that you take you'll get better at it. You'll have less fear. It'll slowly start to like drip away from you. But there's no other way, especially if you're an indie author trying to figure it out on your own. And a lot of it is, you learn through mistakes, and sometimes that's just the way it is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And I think too, I always tell people my DMs are open because I want people to be able to reach out to me. I help as much as I can with however I traverse my author journey, because they're all different.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't run a Facebook readers group, but I have a wealth of resources if I ever decide to run one, because there's other authors that do it.
Yeah.
And so I always want to be, you know, even though I'm not that far in my journey,
Right.
you know, I've only been doing it 2 years. I also want to like reach back and help the newbies that are starting off, because I, I wish I had a mentor at that time, and there's none around.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, if I can be a mentor, I want to be,
yeah.
right? On my journey up, I'll also be looking back.
Yep. I love that. And I agree with you too. When I was starting out, I so wished I had someone telling me, answering my questions. And I did. I mean, there were people here and there, but I think they were early on in their journey too. And they were like, I don't know. This kind of worked for me. And there's something to be said about working with someone that's in the same stage you are in the journey, because you can kind of be like, I tried this and this didn't work, and they could be like, I tried this and this did work. So you can work together that way. But a mentor, I feel like, is just so important in any passion that you're pursuing.
And not predatory. There is a lot of predatory services for those people that do have a book in them. And they'll be like, you know, oh, I'll help you do this, that, and the other. But they've actually never published.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they'll have 300,000 followers on YouTube and they have one book out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, no more writing coaches that only produce one. I want to talk to the author that has 20 books out, who's walked through the fire that many times, and would say, I have a book that's a dud. I have a series that's a dud. How do you resurrect that from the dead? You know?
Yeah, so true. So true.
But I see that on Instagram where it's just like, buy my services or buy this course or all that. And I'm just like, no, you can get everything for free.
Yeah.
But really investigate who you know, are they actually publishing? Do they have a ton out there?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of resources out there. You just have to pick through them and find the ones that are legit. And not fall prey to the easy way. Because the easy way usually is the way that, like you said, they'll prey on you, and your results won't be that good.
You unfortunately get what you pay for. So I've learned in my 2 years, you know, that, you know, you try and skirt it, not do the hard work, and it'll bite you in the butt.
Yep.
Girl, I feel like we could keep talking. Like we could just, and I know you're on a time crunch, so we're definitely going to have you back.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So do you have time for a quick rapid fire?
I love these. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So some of these you already answered in the interview, but that's okay. Okay. So, do you like paperbacks or e-readers?
Paperbacks.
Oh, okay. So you have.
That's a recent switch. And I like supporting the indie authors, and I love holding their books. But before I started really reading a lot of indie authors, I'd go to ebooks a lot. I mean, it's a space saver, and it's like immediate. You can immediately have a book in your hand, you know?
Oh yeah, and they're convenient. You can read them everywhere.
Yep.
Like in bed, the hubby, and he's asleep, and you have your little blue light.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Okay, plotting or pantsing?
I'm pantsing. I'm a pantser.
No, you're a plotter. You said outliner.
I'm I'm actually a Gemini, so I flip-flop. So I could be a plotter. It just depends on the day.
Erase all that hour interview about outlining. I'm a pantser. I love it. Okay. Do you write in first person or third?
Third person.
Are you plot driven or character driven?
Character driven, 100%. Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you write alone, write with a partner, or write in sprints?
I draft alone, and then when I'm ready to share, I'll share it with my critique partner.
Oh, okay. Outline or discovery writer?
I try to outline. A lot of it does happen in discovery, though, too. So.
Yeah, sometimes your characters tell you stuff about themselves you didn't even know.
It's true. Yeah. Sometimes you have a character that's sitting on an airplane, and you're like, oh, this other person is sitting next to him, and I didn't even know that until I started writing it. Like, you know, it's just some things happen.
When people do these character profiles before they write, I'm like, How does that work? I could do it after I've written the whole book, but then by then I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Character. I have a little bit of character profiling that I want to know the color of their eyes and their hair.
Well, because if you get it wrong, the reader will let you know you changed the eye color midway through the story.
It's true.
Do you write in silence or with music?
It depends. Sometimes I need music. Sometimes I will rock out a whole bunch of words in a complete silence.
Both. Okay. Do you write with a deadline or at your own pace?
I like to have self-imposed deadlines, but I don't beat myself up when I usually don't meet them.
But I like that. You know, you have loose structure, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of structure.
Because sometimes when you're up against a deadline, your writing quality suffers.
Yeah, it plummets.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, agreed. Series or standalones?
Series, but you can read, I like that my books, you can read them in any order.
Yeah.
So, but I like pulling from different storylines, so.
Yeah, I like connected series or
yeah.
Yeah.
Connected.
You know what I thought though? Just this has nothing to do with rapid fire, but you know, you had talked about Jolene.
Yeah.
It would, you know, what I find is readers always want more. So you could do like a holiday or like a little beach novella or like a Christmas novella or just, you know, like a little story to catch up.
I love that idea. Thank you.
I know, it just popped in. I don't even know why. Okay, so last question. Historical setting, present day or future?
Present day. But usually my present day is like a couple years prior to the actual year that we live in for whatever reason. In my head it is.
Oh, interesting. Sometimes I forget to give a date or like a timeline.
Yeah.
And then my dev editor is like, I think we're in spring by what they're wearing, but if you could lock that down, that would be helpful. I'm like, oh yeah.
Should probably do that.
I should probably do that. Well, it's been a fast hour. We definitely are going to have you back again. And thank you so much for doing this with me. It's been so great to catch up and meet with you and hear your author journey.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Gigi. It was really nice to chat with you again.
Heck yeah, girl. Okay, so I'll catch up with you in the DMs, and then we will schedule for the fall.
Cool, sounds great.
Ciao for now.